Good morning and welcome back to the channel where we're currently reading the book of Judges. Before we begin, chapter 7. Father, as I read and receive your word, may it deeply be rooted in me. So when difficulty comes, it will be your word that encourages and strengthens me. Amen. So chapter 7 is Gideon defeats the Midianites. So Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, and his army got up early and went as far as the spring of Harod. The armies of Midian were camped north of them in the valley near the hill of Morah. The Lord said to Gideon, "You have too many warriors with you. If I let all of you fight the Midianites, the Israelites will boast to me that they saved themselves by their own strength. Therefore, tell the people, whoever is timid or afraid may leave and go home." 22,000 of them went home, leaving only 10,000 who were willing to fight. But the Lord told Gideon, "There are still too many. Bring them down to the spring, and I will sort out who will go with you and who will not." When Gideon took his warriors down to the water, the Lord told him, "Divide the men into two groups. In one group put all those who cup water in their hands and lap it up with their tongues like dogs. And in the other group, put all those who kneel down and drink with their mouths in the stream." Only 300 of the men drank from their hands. All the others got down on their knees and drank with their mouths in the stream. The Lord told Gideon, "With these 300 men I will rescue you and give you victory over the Midianites. Send all the others home." So Gideon collected the provisions and ram's horns of the warriors and sent them home. But he kept the 300 men with him. Now the Midianite camp was in the valley just below Gideon. During the night the Lord said, "Get up, go down to the Midianite camp, for I have given you victory over them. But if you are afraid to attack, go down to the camp with your servant Purah. Listen to what the Midianites are saying, and you will be greatly encouraged. Then you will be eager to attack." So Gideon took Purah and went down to the outposts of the enemy camp. The armies of Midian, Armalek, and the people of the east had settled in the valley like a swarm of locusts. Their camels are like grains of sand on the seashore, too many to count. Gideon crept up as a man was telling his friend about a dream. The man said, "I had this dream, and in my dream a loaf of barley bread came tumbling down into the Midianite camp. It hit my tent, turned it over, and knocked it flat." His friend said, "Your dream can mean only one thing. God has given Gideon, son of Joash, the Israelite, victory over all the armies united with Midian." When Gideon heard the dream and its interpretation, he thanked God. Then he returned to the Israelite camp and shouted, "Get up, for the Lord has given you victory over the Midianites." He divided the 300 men into 3 groups and gave each man a ram's horn and a clay jar with a torch in it. Then he said to them, "Keep your eyes on me. When I come to the edge of the camp, do just as I do. And as soon as my group blows the ram's horn, those of you on the other side of the camps blow your horns and shout for the Lord and for Gideon." It was just after midnight, after the changing of the guard, when Gideon and the 100 men with him reached the outer edge of the Midianite camp. Suddenly they blew the horns and broke their clay jars. Then all 3 groups blew their horns and broke their jars. They held the blazing torches in their left hands and the horns in their right hands and shouted, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon." Each man stood at his position around the camp and watched as all the Midianites rushed around in a panic, shouting as they ran. When the 300 Israelites blew their horns, the Lord caused the warriors in the camp to fight against each other with their swords. Those who were not killed fled to places as far away as Beth Shida near Zerah and to the border of Abel Maholah near Tabbath. Then Gideon sent for the warriors of Naphtali, Asher, and Manasseh, who joined in the chase after the fleeing army of Midian. Gideon was also sent messengers throughout the hill country of Ephraim, saying, "Come down to attack the Midianites, cut them off at the shallows, the Jordan River, at Beth Barah." And the men of Ephraim did as they were told. They captured Oreb, Zeb, the two Midianite generals, killing Oreb at the rock of Oreb and Zeb at the winepress of Zeb. And they continued to chase the Midianites. Afterward, the Israelites brought the heads of Oreb, Zeb to Gideon, who was by the Jordan. Chapter 8. Gideon kills Zebah and Zalmunna. When the people of Ephraim asked Gideon, Why have you treated us with this way? Why didn't you send for us when you first went out to fight the Midianites? And they argued heatedly with Gideon. But Gideon replied, What I have done compared to you? Aren't the last grapes of Ephraim's harvest better than the entire crop of my little clan of Abizar? God gave you a victory over Oreb and Zeb, the generals of the Midianite army. What have I done compared to that? When the men of Ephraim heard Gideon's answer, they were no longer angry. Gideon then crossed the Jordan River with his 300 men and thought they were exhausted. And though they were exhausted, they continued to chase the enemy. When they reached Succoth, Gideon asked the leaders of the town, Will you please give my warriors some food? They are very tired. I am chasing Zebah and Zalmunna, the kings of Midian. But the leaders of Succoth replied, You haven't caught Zebah and Zalmunna yet. Catch them first, and then we will feed your warriors. So Gideon said, After the Lord gives me victory over Zebah and Zalmunna, I will return and tear your flesh with the thorns and briars of the wilderness. From there Gideon went up to Peniel and asked for food, but he got the same answer. So he said to the people of Peniel, After I turn in victory, I will tear down this tower. By this time, Zebah and Zalmunna were in Karkor, with a remnant of 15,000 warriors. All that remained of the allied armies of the east, 420,000, had already been killed. Gideon circled around by the caravan route east of Nobah and Jogbah, taking the Midianite army by surprise. Zebah and Zalmunna, the two Midianite kings, fled, but Gideon chased them down and captured all their warriors. After this, Gideon returned by way of Heras Pass. There he captured a young man from Succoth and demanded that he write down the names of all the 77 rulers and leaders in the town. Gideon then returned to Succoth and said to the leaders, Here are Zebah and Zalmunna. When we were here before, you taunted me, saying you haven't caught Zebah and Zalmunna yet. Catch them first, then we will feed your exhausted warriors. Then Gideon took the leaders of the town and taught them a lesson, punishing them with thorns and briars from the wilderness. He also knocked down the tower of Peniel and killed all the men in the town. Then Gideon asked Zebah and Zalmunna, The men you killed at Tabor, what were they like? Like you, they replied. They had all the look of a king's son. They were my brothers, Gideon explained. As surely as the Lord lives, I wouldn't kill you if you hadn't killed them. Turning to Jether, his little son, he said, Kill them. But Jether did not draw his sword, for he was only a boy and was afraid. Then Zebah and Zalmunna said to Gideon, Don't ask a boy to do a man's job, do it yourself. So Gideon killed them both and took the royal ornaments from the necks of their camels. Gideon's sacred ephod. When the Israelites said to Gideon, Be our ruler, you and your son and your grandson will be our rulers, for you have rescued us from Midian. But Gideon replied, I will not rule over you, nor will my son. The Lord will rule over you. However, I have one request. Each of you can give me an earring out of the treasures you collected from your fallen enemies. The enemies being Ishmaelites, all were gold earrings. Gladly, they replied. They spread out a cloak, and each one threw in a gold earring he had gathered. The weight of the gold earrings was 43 pounds, not including the crescents and pendants, the royal clothing of the kings, or the trains around the necks of the camels. Gideon made a sacred ephod with the gold and put it in Ophrah, his hometown. But soon all the Israelites prostituted themselves by worshiping it, and it became a trap for Gideon and his family. That is the story of how Israel subdued Midian, which never recovered. Throughout the rest of Gideon's lifetime, about 40 years, the land was at peace. Then Gideon, son of Joash, returned home. He had 70 sons, for he had many wives. He also had a concubine in Shechem, who bore him a son named Abimelech. Gideon died when he was very old, and he was buried in the grave of his father Joash at Ophrah, in the land of the clan of Abizar. As soon as Gideon was dead, the Israelites prostituted themselves by worshipping the images of Baal, making Baal-berith their god. They forgot the Lord their God, who had rescued them from all their enemies surrounding them. Nor did they show any loyalty to the family of Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, despite all the good he had done for Israel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it, and I will read to you tomorrow, beginning with chapter 9. Have a great day and a blessed day.